Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Real Estate SEO. My name is Josh Guerra, and today I want to talk a little bit about backlinks and more importantly, like the types of backlinks that you can actually go out and get, for your real estate website to drive, higher SEO value. So let's kind of first start with why backlinks have such a heavy weight when it comes to search engine optimization. So really, when you think about it, a backlink is basically somebody that is casting a vote that your website is authoritative in some way or fashion, right? Or is relevant to a particular topic on their website, and they're deeming you as a resource of info, okay? So that's also something you cannot fake, right? You can't just go out and get a backlink most of the time from somebody's website unless you pay for it, right? And we'll get to some of those examples of kind of more along the lines of a paid link versus an earned link. But just know most of the links that have a heavy weight to them are the ones that you actually have to go out and earn, and those aren't ones that you actually pay for. Okay, so yes, links have a massive, massive implication on your overall search engine positioning, and they make a huge difference when it comes to ranking your website on the web. So I want to go over some types. So first I want to talk about what's called citations. And citation directories are essentially directories on the web that are basically helping users find local businesses that are categorized based on specialty, right? So that one might be for you, local realtors, right? And there might be a nationwide citation directory website that's out there that provides a resource to be able to find local realtors or brokerages in their area, right? A few examples of those, everyone's favorite, Yelp or, Manta, yellowpages.com. Those types of directories are what they call citation directories, and they do help. I'm not going to lie; they're not for nothing because they're paid, but most of the time paid or free to set up. But they do help, right? And they do help with categorization. They do help Google and other search engines understand this is your fingerprint on the web, and this is your specialty, and this is how we categorize you, right? This is what you're good at. The next one is localized directories. So localized directories are directories in the real estate game, the Chamber of Commerce, or a geo domain, right? If you're selling real estate in San Diego, sandiego.org might be a really great one to go out and get, or visit sandiego.com if it's out there, something like that is, dedicated to the area that you're servicing. That is, you have to go through a validation process usually, because they usually don't give those out to fake businesses. So they have to validate that you are a real business. And the Chamber of Commerce, especially, you actually you pay for it. Yes. And typically they're not cheap. And there is a very stern validation process to that. So when you get those types of directories, localized directories, Google looks at those as a little bit higher weight than the typical citations because they're usually more expensive, and they're also have a validation factor to them so that they can make sure you're not some fake website. Typically, fake websites, or fake businesses won't pay for those because they're a little expensive. The next type of backlink I want to talk about is guest posts. And a guest post is basically you going out there and finding blogs, and you're hey, look, I'd love to blog for you on this particular topic, designing a basically design to sell model, right? Or furnishing a unit does help drive more exposure, which equates to the higher likelihood of you selling that property. I want to write this article for your blog, but in return, I want you to link to my website. So a guest post is really that type of scenario where you're going out to local blogs and you're asking them, hey, can I contribute content in some way? And in return, I want you to link to my website. That's really what a guest post is. And the next one is it's kind of frowned upon a little bit. You got to be careful with these because you can get in trouble. Google is a little weird about them, and those are called reciprocal backlinks. And a reciprocal is, it's just like the word, right? I scratch your back, you scratch my back, you link to me, I link to you, right? And basically, it's just reciprocal. You're adding a link on your website to them, and they're exchanging that favor back to you. You just got to be really careful. Don't go out and build 100 of these dang things because Google will freak out on you. Trust me. Like link schemes or reciprocal links are kind of like iffy. They work, but you want to make sure you're linking. You want to make sure you're finding a site that doesn't do a lot of these, and that has a high domain authority score, and is just a quality site. You don't want to go out and get this from anybody, and you need it to be localized. If you're going to do this at all, make it localized, or if it's like national, have some relevancy like to what you're doing, right? I would say that is probably a good rule of thumb. So the next one is a resource of information. So this is kind of cool. Usually this happens when it's very earned. And let's say on your website, you wrote a very detailed blog post or research study about the market and your thesis on why the market hasn't crashed since and why there's very little inventory and what the future looks like and why now is the time to buy, right? Like a very detailed article on that has data and all this crazy stuff. Let's say you create that piece of content and a nationwide like press outlet is like, oh, that's pretty good. That's a great piece of content because it kind of matches up with what we're talking about. And you did a full study on it with data. Maybe we'll link to you as a national outlet saying like, hey, according to so-and-so's, research study, the whole driver of, saturation in this piece of market or like lack thereof is because of this. And that is a resource or a cited resource of information. And those are huge. If you can get any of those are big. Those are hard to get. I'm not going to lie. Those are hard to get even for us sometimes because it requires a significant amount of work, a lot of research, a lot of studying. And, typically those are very hard ones to go out and land. And then the last one that I like to talk about is sponsorship links. So like these are easy to get, you got to pay for them. But usually they're from like very authoritative websites with a very good link profile, typically. So these could be like if you're sponsoring like a wine festival in your area, or if you're sponsoring like a marathon or, like something like that, right? You're sponsoring like, maybe a foundation or organization in your area it's like a wildlife preserve. And on their website, you're like, I'll give you $500 because I want to support, what you guys are doing. And then all of a sudden they put a banner link to your website. That's a sponsorship link. Those still help. You just got to be really like tactful on which ones you go after. Make sure that they're reputable. Make sure their backlink profile, their domain authority is good. And, usually those kind of pay off a little bit, even if they're paid or not. And then really like the kind of what I want to talk about also is, there are two like classifications of links. So there are do follow links, and then there are no follow links. And like a do follow like regular link is, you probably see these all the time. They look normal inside the HTML, but a no follow link is basically saying I don't want to pass any equity or juice into somebody else's website if I link to them. Now, here's the thing. They still help, and it's a very complex explanation. Even if it's a no-follow link, they still help, and especially if they're linking with your brand name, that's a big deal. Brand mentions on Google is great. Good. So just kind of think of it like they may not help as much, but they still actually help. So if you see like a no follow tag inside the HTML for that link, don't freak out. It's actually okay. But if you can get them to convert it to a do follow without that tag, go for it. Why not? So anyways, that's pretty much all I got for backlinks today. And I hope you found this video informational and helpful. And until next time, on the next episode of Real Estate SEO, y'all take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.